This podcast is sponsored by BB Makes, a family-run personalised gift company. From sports bottles to team merchandise, BB Makes has you covered. They will happily work with you to create unique designs for your perfect gift, with a wide range of products, all able to be personalised with names, quotes, pictures and much more. Head over to bbmakes.com. That's www.bebemakes.com and use the code COIS so they know that we sent you. Oh, and of course, come on you Spurs.
Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new year, a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. It's 2025, I am Sam. I have a stinking cold, so apologies everybody, but I will do my best to get through this without coughing in your ear too often. Joining me to kick off the new year, talking about all things Tottenham, it's Stefan.
Hello everybody, it's good to be back, and you have a cold and my wife has decided that she hates me and has invited like half of my kids' schools over today, so there may be background noise in both sides of the recording.
Yes.
I've hidden myself away in the most isolated part of the house to try and record this.
Okay, well, we shall keep in mind if we hear any mad screaming children or me sounding croakier than Kermit. That's just the way it is for this episode. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you had a good Christmas. Tottenham certainly didn't do much to spread the festive cheer in our direction, but hey, it's just what it is.
It wouldn't be Tottenham otherwise, would it? Really, let's be honest.
No. There was a brief time where you could look at a Tottenham fixture list and go, "Oh, that'd be fun." Now it's just back to, please let us win one.
I've got to be honest, right now, I remember a time when you'd look at a fixture list and you'd go, right, that's 3 points, that's 3 points. Oh, them away, but maybe 3 points, but definitely 1 point. That'll be 3 points at home. That'll be 3 points away. And now I look at the fixture list and go, oh, do I want to watch that one?
It's a weird thing.
Watch that one.
I mean, it's funny you say it because, you're saying that that was a norm for us for a long time. I mean, it was literally just 2 seasons we had that.
I don't even know if it was that long.
It was kind of, it wasn't. I just feel for the kids who kind of come of age. So I sort of think of it as coming of age like you're in your secondary school years, and because when you're young and you're younger than that, it's kind of like football fandom's what it is. But when you're in secondary school, that's when the real banter starts. That's when it's like, who do you support? Oh my God, really? And the level of
all that stuff,
all the kind of level of crap you get given, etc. So, it's kind of interesting that if you imagine, so let's say you're 13, Pochettino takes charge. That probably means that Tottenham's best years, you're 14, 15, 16. You enjoyed that. You had a great run at that time. I mean, obviously, I know. Oh, you didn't win nothing, whatever. But you would have had fun compared to I was going through that in 94, 95, 96. I mean, we nearly got relegated in one of those years. Klinsmann stopped that from happening. Thank goodness.
My high school years were 2001 to 2006.
Wow.
So I kind of had a lot of you support Tottenham? What? Were there no other teams available?
Yeah,
I had that a fair bit, but then I also had
no one in your
Edgar Davids.
Was no one at your school very witty?
No,
clearly not. I mean, I sort of grew up. I mean, it's sort of out in Bristol, and it was all people followed one of the local Bristol sides, but Premier League teams wise, at that particular moment, it was all Liverpool, Man United, bit of Chelsea. I think there was 2 kids in my whole year supported Tottenham. We were like solidarity, brother. It was a tough time.
Yep.
So anyway, let's dive into the podcast, because if we don't, I'll just start coughing in everyone's ears, and no one wants that. We're going to kick off the way I should always kick off, and that's with this.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Amazingly, we have one from Instagram.
Ooh.
Dino1978 says, are all these hamstring injuries down to rushing players back from original injuries, or down to the way we play?
So yeah, we spoke on this on the WhatsApp group a couple of times, and I know I've been one of the more critical people. I was kind of very heavy on the wise Ange rushing people back.
Yeah.
Give them an extra week off, stop the injuries. And then you kind of remind me, well, actually, there's sports scientists involved.
Yeah.
They will be telling Ange if that player is available or not.
Yep.
They will have all the statistics of, there will be an X percentage of chance of a breakdown or reoccurrence, or he should be fine. That'll be all kind of known, studied, analysed.
Discussed, yeah.
Romero came back and it was a different injury.
Yeah, I mean, that's just awful. I mean, it's like he came back and did something completely different, which, yeah, I mean, that can happen. I often find as well, I mean, I think a lot of people just notice this from watching sport for long enough, or if anyone's played it. When you have an injury and then you're rehabbing to come back from that injury, you tend to always pick up like muscle injuries with it, if that makes sense. It's like you've rehabbed one thing, but you're now, oh, okay, well, whilst I was doing this, I've over-pressurized this and I've done this.
You kind of overcompensate. I remember I broke my right foot. I broke my metatarsal before Beckham made it cool.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of rehab it and stuff like that, and completely knackered my left ankle.
Yeah.
With the kind of compensating the right ankle, I knackered my left one.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird how that happens, yeah. So it's a question that kind of makes you feel a bit like, oh, really? That's what we're discussing. But at the same time, it's a really kind of valid thing to think about, because Ange, with his style of play, in every job he's had, and this is something a nerd like me knows, he has had a lot of hamstring injuries compared to other managers at other clubs. And he even talks about it himself. When he was at Celtic, he said it takes a while for players and bodies to adjust to what the demands are of playing this system. But once you get through that and you come out the other side, it's fine, it levels out. Now, what is kind of interesting is Ange typically wins something in his second... Well, I say typically. Ange in every club until now has won something in his second season. In his first season, it's really all over the place, hit and miss. Results are all over the place, like beat someone 5-0, lose 6-1. Like really kind of making these big adjustments. And it's kind of interesting, and I've been trying to think about this a lot recently, which is he has then always moved on. So it's like, 2-3 seasons gone, 2-3 seasons gone, 2 seasons gone, so he's talking about, like this adjustment and people, get it, and once it kind of levels out, and I'm like, well, we're into our second season now, deep into that second season. I'm not seeing any sign of any kind of let-up in the injuries that we're getting. And it's pretty consistent hamstring injuries. I know there's spatterings of all the others as well, but it's when you see like Udog is the latest one, and it looks like it's going to be a couple of months before we see him again. It just kind of you got to look at it, but there's different ways of kind of like this. This opens up this larger debate, which is he obviously wants to play this way of football. That's his way. He will not compromise on that. He's pretty freaking clear about that, like from day one. This is me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So if you are Tottenham hierarchy and you are the people, the directors of football, the footballing, director, and all these people that are above him that have appointed him, then you need to provide him with the tools to do that. And when I say the tools, obviously all of us are like, yeah, sign 11 elite players. Yeah, of course, brilliant, I do. But away from that, because we know that's never going to happen, you need to have the squad depth to enable him to rotate, to make substitutions. Alistair Gold, the journalist for Football London's pointed out, and it is something I've noticed, he likes to make a triple change around 60 minutes. Around the hour mark, he likes to freshen things up. It's something he's done, and he did it at Celtic apparently as well. And I got into a conversation with a Celtic fan via Twitter who basically was like, it was kind of funny initially, everyone mocked him. That, you know, around 60 minutes he'd make this change like it was preordained every game. And everyone was mocking him when he first started up at Celtic. Like, don't know what he's doing. Aussie just like gets to 60 minutes, makes changes, doesn't make sense. He said, but after a while you started to realise that basically part of the system, part of the plan was, right, you are going to run yourself into the ground knowing that you're on the pitch for 60 minutes. That's your role. You are only going to play an hour in this game. And you are going to go and you are going to do this and you are going to drive yourself. And on that hour mark, so-and-so is going to come on now. You know you've got 30 minutes and you have trained for 90. So those 30 minutes, I expect you to be all action, non-stop, all this, all that. He said, and then those players would rotate. Like the next game, the guy who came on would do 60 and 30. He said, and you started to realise that actually it wasn't like some sort of preordained sub in a game no matter what. It was a rotation system. And once they allowed more substitutions, he just basically, that's his way of utilising it. It makes sense. It does make sense when you look at the way he plays. The counter-argument I've seen from people, and I think perhaps you've made it as well, is there's been opportunities to rotate and he seems to have not taken them. So Destiny Udogie has run himself into the ground and has now got a hamstring injury. Is that just bad luck? The player himself thinks it is. The player is not blaming anyone. He did an interview yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
But could it be argued that when you've got Sergio Reguilon in the squad, could he have rotated him? Could he have actually done something? It's
hard to look. See, like, it's not just him. We've got there's obviously something has happened with Reggie that Ange isn't a fan. We know there was a bit of a fallout last season. He ended up out on loan, and we know he's not a perfect fit for the system.
Yeah.
But we also have Spence, who has shown himself to be pretty good on that left-hand side as well as the right.
Yeah, then the Spence one, just
not
before...
picked up many minutes. I understand he was suspended for this game, but...
Yeah, no, I just think it's worth pointing out as well, because I've seen that a lot. But people seem to forget that the Spence seemed to vanish with an injury. He signed that new contract. He had been playing plenty of minutes rotating. And then he picked up an injury and vanished. To the point that we were all kind of like, hang on, there's this conspiracy theory about him. You know what, do you remember? It was this whole...
Oh, that was great. He went out, got drunk, turned up drunk to training, and got told to leave, basically. Yeah.
Now, if that really happened, I don't think Ange should have him around the squad at all. So please don't put any stock in that rumour, but he obviously picked up something and was out. So a lot of people are like, oh, you know, he's run these players in the ground so he didn't rotate. The Reguilon one is the interesting one because the scuttlebutt rumour was obviously Ange arrived, everyone had a clean slate, and Ange said, right, this is the system, this is how we play, and Reguilon had a bit of a kind of, I'm a fullback, not a midfielder, and had a bit of a strop. And Andrew was like, okay, well, look, this is what I expect you to do, so you can go. And he said, yeah, I'll go. Reguilon believed he was going to Barcelona, turned down countless offers, countless bids for him in the summer just gone, only for Barcelona to have cocked up everything and be unable to sign and register people, as we all know.
It signed 3 players, only 2 of them have played, I believe, yeah.
So Reguilon was stuck with us. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but I don't know if anyone's ever been in a position where they've quit their job in an epic way and then you've got to do like a month's, you know, like, okay, well, you got to work a month's notice. You know, that atmosphere for that month is not great.
No.
So if you are a football player who's basically, this system's dumb, what you're asking me to do is dumb. I am better than that because I am who I am. I'm leaving because I'm going to Barcelona. Fuck you guys. Only to then walk back in the training after the window closed to be like, guess what, everybody, still here. Yeah. It is. I like, from reading between the lines, I don't think Ange is the sort of guy who then is shitty to him, and I don't think the players alluded to that either. But I do. I think if someone is like that, like I'm not doing that. That's dumb. You as a coach then have this awkward thing where, if you then pick him, what message are you sending to the squad?
Yeah.
So I think he sat him down for a long time. Like, no, you can just train, but I'm not picking you because why would I? Why would I pick you when you don't play the way I want you to play? Now, he has picked him, but some would say, and I would say, he's been forced to pick him by the sheer weight of injuries we've had. Otherwise, I still think he'd just be sat there with a squad number doing nothing. Check the official website. He don't even have a picture in this season's shirt on it.
His Instagram post after the other game was hilarious.
Do you want to tell people in case anyone didn't see it?
Yeah, so he came on as a substitute and Instagram storied, "Hey, Mum, I played some football."
Now,
as a picture, I cracked me up. It was one of those ones of like, "Oh, you dickhead," but that's funny.
Well, you think about it again, though, right? So that's cracked you up. How would you react if you were Ange?
Yeah, it's like it's not a good look, but from the outside, amusing.
Well, no, I just again, like,
imagine Ange just sat him down and gone, "What the is that?"
Well, I get the impression Ange don't overly with social media give a flying monkey, but I imagine a couple of the coaches like Mason, etc., probably would have been like, "Really? Like that's funny. That's like, look, Mum, I played football again." Not to mention the fact that like the Man United game, he was basically online twerking for Man United again, which pissed a lot of people off. Like, what an amazing club! It was so great to see so many people. It's like you were on loan there and they didn't want you.
He definitely fanboyed a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, wind your neck in, Sergio. But anyway, going back to the original question, I think the way we play does impact our injuries. I think it's happened in every club Ange's managed, therefore it has to be. I also think our medical department's not fit for purpose. I've fought it for quite a while. If, like, this isn't digging any individual out because I don't know enough about it, but I saw, was it an article or did I hear it? It might have been on a podcast, so apologies. It was, no, I'm lying to everyone. It was an article in The Athletic talking about how sports science has evolved and things like that. And they're talking about how much money is now involved in it. And Tottenham have not spent a penny to improve the sports science department since Pochettino left.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Jose Mourinho came in and just basically thought sports science was nonsense. Just like, no, I'm not interested. Conte basically wanted his own people, and then when he left, his own people went with him. And then you've got that other bloke who obviously didn't get his feet under the desk long enough to even...
So he wasn't there long enough to give out name badges?
No, he was not. But yeah, so it's kind of a weird thing because you look at that and on the surface you think, well, that's dumb. That doesn't make sense. Why would you not continually evolve things? But then the club are like that. Like the training facilities, when they opened, were state of the art. Like they were amongst the best in Europe. They're now not even in the best in the Premier League because they didn't spend the money to keep upgrading them and keep making changes. My understanding is there are little things that have happened now and tweaks and stuff, but if you stand still, you go backwards in sport. And that's something the club never seems to grasp. Like the whole Pochettino developed a team and needed to add to it. And we were like, no, we're good. We're a good team. How can we better this? Well, you add to it. You add like even if it's just one signing, a little bit of stardust, something. Nah, let's not sign anyone for 3 windows and just hope. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So hopefully I've answered that question, and I did enough. So over on Facebook, Kev Smith says, "Are we heading for the relegation zone?" What do you think, mate?
No, don't be silly.
Really?
Don't be silly. There's enough teams in the Premiership struggling way more than we are.
Yeah.
That are in that relegation battle. Mid-table is at the moment a very worrying possibility.
So you think mid-table's worrying, like relegation? So relegation's so not on your radar at all.
No,
even though Man United are being talked about.
I'm not even giving a thought to relegation. Like, I think, unfortunately, I do think we're going to be potentially mid-table, which is worrying. We should be at least challenging the top 7, I believe. Okay. But yeah, I think mid-table is a worrying possibility. Relegation, not even on my mind.
So, just out of interest, let's say Newcastle pump us 5-0 and we drop the 5 places that we could potentially drop. Would you be worried then?
No, not with the amount of season left. I still believe there are enough teams worse than us.
Wow.
If you ask me kind of end of February, beginning of March, and we're in the same sort of position with the same differential of points, then I might have to look at it.
Okay, no, the only reason why I say it is because, again, and I think this is like a little bit of like I've lived through this. I watched us in the season where we were genuinely potentially going down. And in that season, it didn't feel like a relegation fight until it was. Does that make sense? It was it was like we were mid-table, win 1, lose 2, lose 3, win 1. It was like we were the definition of a mid-table club, and then all of a sudden, oh, hang on, this is a problem, and it was like before we knew it, we were in that mess. Now, the club have changed a lot since then, and football's changed a lot since then. And as you say, there are a lot of other sides that are as inconsistent or more inconsistent than we are this season. But the fact that Manchester United are being talked about in relegation and they are talking about it themselves, and we're like
madness,
and we're like right next to them, basically.
Yep.
It seems a little bit odd that.
I think the problem as well is like when I turn around and go, I know there's teams that are worse off than us. One of them is 3rd in the Premiership at the moment.
Yeah.
Bournemouth are a fair few places above us as well, I believe. And I'm like, no, these are the clubs that on paper I'd definitely say up we're better.
Yeah, see, it's an interesting old league. But it is interesting league because if you put together 3 results, all of a sudden everything changes. But on the flip side, you put together 3 bad results and we are looking down. So it is me personally. I still, whether I'm an idiot or not, have a lot of faith in Ange and the team to pull it out. I think there is a real anger in amongst me, and I think there's a few fans that it feels that once again a manager is going to be scapegoated. Like I said this in our chat during the last game, I kind of feel resigned to the fact he's going to get sacked. I hope he doesn't. I hope that he's able to get the results and get on a run and this whole season turns positive and everyone gets off his back. But it frustrates me that, you know, you could be critical of it. Like, there's a lot of people you can be valid critical of different things. But at the moment, the main criticism being leveled at him is he doesn't change. Like, why aren't you changing? You're still playing this high line. You're still doing this. You're still doing this with all these injuries and everything like that. And to me, it's like you're going on a date with someone and you invite them out and you say like, oh, you know, are you into Italian food? They're like, no, I can't. I don't like Italian food at all. And then you take them to an Italian restaurant and you're like, why aren't you eating anything? It doesn't make sense to like sit down with someone in a job interview and they say, this is how I play and that never changes. This is my philosophy. So if you hire me, we will play this way non-stop and we need this and we need this and we need this. And they go, yeah, you're the guy. Yeah, we want you. And then to basically sack him for doing that, it's like driving your head through a wall mad to me. And it would once again highlight, for me anyway, the real problem at the club, and that is the people on high make these decisions and then they scapegoat the managers very, very quickly, or whenever, like, typically it's 18 months with Tottenham, 18 months to 2 years. No, you've had enough, off you go. It is very frustrating, and it's a very annoying thing because I see a lot of it, and like the media don't help, and I know that's their job. Their job's there to comment on things, but they create narratives. They created the narrative around us defending corners and Vicario, and yet statistically this season, that just isn't a problem. Like, it was a problem last season. It got addressed. You remember there was a thing with Gary Neville on Sky. Tottenham had a game. We were defending a corner and they read out this stat. And the stat they read out was, from the start of last season.
Yeah.
And so I saw someone on Twitter straight away. I was like, well, that was a strange. Like, you're saying that they got a problem now, but you're doing it. So I get it. You're kind of saying this is a problem for Ange, like since Ange took charge. But what's the difference? Oh, well, yeah, when we actually looked at it and broke it down, in like 10 games this season, conceded 1 goal from a set piece. Well, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like, if you then, what a fair thing would have been was, well, last season they had a problem with set pieces, they seem to have fixed it this year. Oh, no, they haven't. You can almost hear the commentary, can't you? Tottenham so much better defending set pieces. Oh, they've scored. I mean, it's like, yeah, that'd be the way it goes. So, but the narrative exists then, and it's been created, and Jamie Carragher especially, and a couple of others have really enjoyed this. Well, Ange is dumb. Ange is stupid. He won't change. You can't have one way of playing all the time, all weathers, all everything like that. Like, you can have that debate, definitely you can. But the guy's been successful with it everywhere he's gone. So the debate then moves to, yeah, but he's out of his depth. The Premier League's better than everywhere he's been before. Yeah, and my counter argument to that is he's using better players than he did everywhere before.
It's all in comparison. This is the thing people don't understand is like the Premier League is a better league than the Australian League or the Japanese League. Yeah, of course it is, but it's also in a comparison of it. So like, it's not like he's taken a team from the Japanese League and put them in the Premier League. He has taken an established team with good players. So the only comparison you can really do is to look at it and go, okay, well, where was his team in the Australian League?
Yep.
Where was his team in the Japanese League?
Yep.
And then work out the comparisons, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense. Like, there's such a vast gap in the quality available and quality of the leagues that it's not a comparison, if that makes sense.
Like for example, if the team he took over in Australia were the team that won every year anyway, and they had more money than every other team in the division, so all the best players in Australia went to that team, you'd kind of roll your eyes a little bit at that achievement, wouldn't you? That's like,
so he's managed the Man City of Australia. Brilliant. Yeah.
So now, ironically, I think the team he managed are part of the City group, but it was a team that had never won anything in their history. They didn't blow money. It's not the way that league operates. And he coached them into a system and won their first ever trophy. Went to Japan, a team again never won a trophy in their history. Set by the second season, trophy. The other one that everyone seems to forget is he won a major tournament as coach of Australia. People sneer at the Asia Cup as it's not a big thing. It's the Euros. He basically won the Euro. If he was coach of England, for example, and he won the Euros, people would be talking about him forever. And in Australia, he's very highly regarded because of this, because he did go and win the Asia Cup with Australia.
Yep.
Their first ever trophy, major trophy in football.
And they were nowhere near favourites to win that year either.
Nowhere near. They beat South Korea in the final. Ask Sonny about it. He still doesn't find it funny. But seriously though, because at that particular moment, I remember it happening because it meant he didn't get out of military service because they didn't win.
Yeah, they had to win. They won the next tournament instead. They had to win the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. So to Sonny, that was a big deal. You know, that was a big game. But so he has literally been successful. Now, you can 100% say, "Wow, you won trophies in Scotland with Celtic. No one's ever done that before." But there is a little bit of context to that, which I think is key, and it's what a Celtic fan was trying to explain to me, because I was that person. I was yeah, but don't take this the wrong way, mate. Winning trophies at north of the border with your lot is, it's like winning them down here with Man City's budget, but you're in the third division.
There's 3 trophies domestically you can win every season. If Celtic don't win at least 2,
something's gone horrifically wrong. Yeah. So, but he pointed out to me, which again, I'm not a Celtic, I don't follow them, so I don't know this, but he was like, you got to understand the context that we dominated for years because Rangers had gone through that whole financial mess, been relegated.
Yes.
They had come up under Gerrard, I think it was, and had just won the league. He was like, they had just halted like our years and years and years of domination, and all of our best players had been sold down to England. He said the whole squad was a mess, either too old, too young. And the best players had gone. He said 4 players had just gone. He said, and he came in, no one had really heard of him or cared. He said he was literally being booed from the first game. He was getting abuse, dogs abuse constantly just because he was Australian. He said, and he came in and the results were mental. He was like, we beat Dundee 5-0, then lost to like Kilmarnock 3-0, and it was like, what the hell is this? Like, what the hell football are you trying to get us to play? And before you knew it, they turned it completely, this is how we play, mate, this is what we do. The fans loved him, are still head over heels in love with him, and they won everything. It is.
Yeah, he won the treble, didn't he? Yeah.
It is still an achievement doing that. Like, that is, he came into a mess, and he did that. Now, when he came into Tottenham, he came into a mess. Like, our squad, like, is the definition of a hodgepodge of failed past managers' dreams.
I mean, it's easily, 4 managers different, 4 different managers worth of years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because there were players in that squad that were signed for Nuno. Oh, hang on. Sorry, had to be done.
Because it was like Matt Doherty, Brian Gill, those sort of players.
Gill was his. Doherty was Mourinho.
Oh, was he Mourinho?
Yeah. Mourinho wanted a 6-foot-odd fullback to help defend set pieces, so they signed a wing back who was 6-foot-odd.
That makes sense.
And it never worked. But the final point on this with the relegations, I don't think we're there, and certainly not at the moment. I think if we lose our next 3 games, then yes, it then
I think if we lose the next 3 games, it's going to be Ryan Mason till the end of the season.
Well,
that's the problem.
Well, there's the next issue. If we lose our next 3 games and they do make a change, I don't think they can do that in a relegation fight. Big Sam Allardyce, anyone?
I mean, God, yeah. Jeez, no.
Harry Redknapp coming back. Yeah. Okay, so the next person who's messaging is Barry Fowles. Now, Barry, you messaged as well, so I'm going to read your comment. Happy New Year, Spurs News Team. Looking at our position in the league, do you think we will or should be focusing on the 3 cup competitions we're still in? Winning the Europa or the FA Cup will be our only route back into Europe next year. If you listen to Kev, our league position needs focus because otherwise we're going to get relegated. But it's a very valid thing what you're saying. Like, should we focus on cup competitions? I think we're in this weird position now where unless we get reinforcements in January, it doesn't matter where we focus, we're kind of screwed. I think, and have thought for some time, the League Cup semi-finals being over 2 legs is stupid.
Agreed.
It is a additional game that's not required. No one wants it. And it is a problem, like every single time. Now, years and years and years ago, the FA Cup semi-finals, for example, were always at a neutral ground, not at Wembley.
Yes.
There is no reason at all why the League Cup semi-finals couldn't just be at neutral grounds. Like, there's no reason at all. There's enough stadiums in the country that could be available. It is an additional game that Liverpool certainly don't want. It's an additional game we can't even afford right now. Like, it's awful. And when they've done away with like FA Cup replays, but left this in,
have this, it seems strange.
It's stupid. Now, in a one-off game against Liverpool, with Liverpool's eyes on bigger prizes, I'd feel like we got a really good shot. Over 2 legs against them, I don't think we got a hope. Unfortunately, I mean, yes, please, I'd love to be wrong. But you look at the way they're playing, the rhythm they're in, they won't want to break that at all. And you can understand it. If he was suddenly to get injuries, then I think he'd obviously have to. But right now, he just wants that to keep going because you do. And so they are not going to let up against us in the League Cup semi-final because they have bigger fish to fry. It is literally going to be just keep going. Next game, next game, next game.
Keep the ball moving, as they say. Yeah. Just keep the roll going. And...
Yeah. So prioritising that, I like, even with our strongest team out over 2 legs, I think we'd struggle. So you then have the FA Cup with the mighty Tamworth looking to dump us out at their gaff. Very expensive tickets, by the way.
I did notice they've like doubled the price of their tickets or more.
Oh, and the rest, yeah. I feel a bit for the fans on that, but then at the same time, there's no replays anymore.
No, so they've got to kind of make the money where they can, and it's one of those. It's a bit naughty because you're going to have people that are probably part of 1,000 people crowd that go every week, and all of a sudden they're being told, "Oh, your £12 ticket is now 33."
Yeah, and the rest. It was serious money they want to charge for getting into their ground to watch us. I didn't like that. That didn't feel good. That was a bit kind of off. I remember us playing the Marine, and
it was amazing. People in their back garden hanging over the fence.
Yeah, and we all bought the virtual tickets because it was COVID and everything. And Marine still to this day praise Tottenham fans for that, because if Tamworth had turned around and done something like that, like, hey, Tottenham fans, please help support us, I think they'd have been pleasantly surprised. I remember, I think it was Leyton Orient, did some appeal at some point, and Tottenham fans all went and bought Leyton Orient shirts, because Harry Kane was obviously sponsoring and stuff at the time as well. I bought one for Phoebe. Anyway, so that was a bit disappointing on that, but you got, that's a mad game. We are going to have to rotate for that game. We are not going to be able to send the strongest 11 there. One, because we can't field it at the moment. But that's a potential nightmare, because they're going to be up for it beyond all measure, and we're going to be sending a group of players who, like Lucas Bergvall, I'm sure he's heard of the FA Cup. He's certainly never played in a mad cup tie at a place like Tamworth.
No, but you can almost guarantee he'll be starting.
Yeah, exactly. So
you're probably going to be looking at Will Lancashire starting up front.
Yeah.
Who you have to hope goes in with the attitude of, I can score a hatful, let me show you what I can do, and not go in with the attitude of, I'm playing a non-league club, I thought I should easily get a couple.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
It's all about attitude, isn't it?
It is massively, and we have proven time and time again we fail at that.
Massively.
Too many times we show up thinking we're going to win. So, I think focus on the cup of competition. What you're saying is absolutely sensible, but I think at the moment you want to almost go completely back to basics. I said about Liverpool and just bring us the next game. I think literally cliche, one game at a time. And I think Tottenham need to get into this kind of win this game. We need to win this game. And then however you do it, win it, and then be like, right, okay, we now need to win this game. Do you know what I mean? Just kind of...
Yeah.
And if you can do that and you can get a roll going, then I think you've got a chance of turning this season around. What do you think?
No, I agree. It is like you say, the back to basics, one game at a time cliche. Let's go play Newcastle. Let's go and put the voodoo of playing Newcastle at the moment away. Let's get a result. Then let's look at the next game. Let's focus. Let's get a result.
Yeah.
Because we know there's only a couple of games, and then we've got the North London derby.
Oh, my birthday.
On your birthday, just because Tottenham hate you that much,
right?
They chose the one game that you despise.
I
know where we'll put that.
I can do you better as well, because any men of a certain age will know when you're in your 40s, one of the wonderful things happens is you have a doctor want to check certain parts of your anatomy that not all of us men particularly enjoy being poked and prodded.
Yep.
I'm not going to go into too much detail. If anyone's eating, I don't want to put you off. I've had an appointment come through on my birthday to have that.
Oh, mate.
So I will quite literally be getting reamed out by Arsenal and a doctor all on the same day.
I mean, yeah, that's a birthday.
Happy birthday to me. Yeah, I turned
40. Vaseline for your birthday here.
Thanks, buddy. I turned 42 this year, and 42 is my lucky number. And so far, I think someone's taking the test that is how I'm starting. Now, don't get me wrong. If that exam turns into something magical, and I share a moment with the good doctor whilst Barry White plays, you never know, and Tottenham thump Arsenal that night, maybe it is the start of my lucky year. Who knows?
It could be. Just remember, if he puts both hands on your shoulder, no, let's not make the jokes. Let's carry on.
No, let's not make crude innuendo jokes of that nature, young man. Barry also emailed in, but I want to circle back to that because it's a larger discussion point, although I'm going off on tangents and all of this anyway. The final comment's from Tom Perks. Tom says, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope 2025 brings you as much excitement, but not as much pain as 2024 did. Do you think we should, and can we, recall anyone from loan in January to help ease the crisis? And do you think we can stop Newcastle scoring a hatful this weekend? The last point, no. Yeah, the only chance I think we got is if that Isak comes down with some viral something and can't play. He's a bit good, and he seems to like scoring against us.
He's a very good player. And unfortunately, Eddie Howe has got them back playing some very good football again.
Yeah, they're all right. I'm not a fan of the barcodes. So on
the loan thing, I've got a bit of a controversial one here for you.
Yeah, bring it.
Now, we know the whole Timo Werner's in on loan at the moment. We're being made aware that loan is a bit more difficult to get out of than we realised.
Well, this is an interesting one. So there is no break clause on the loan, okay? But Tottenham were hoping to maybe contact RB Leipzig and say, look, it's not working out. He isn't going to get any games in the second half of the season. We're actively looking to buy someone to replace him in the squad. We want to send him back. Or we would like to facilitate another loan so he'll go back to you but then go back out, sort of thing. And RB Leipzig have, via the press, via Bild in Germany, basically said, no, he ain't going anywhere. We don't want him back. He's your problem. And also, they've basically put a thing out like, we don't know what we're going to do with him when he does come back. We were hoping Tottenham would sign him. My first thought upon reading all of that was, poor Timo.
Poor bastard. Yeah, no one wants him.
Right,
that's a player that's struggling on confidence.
Yeah.
That is not the news report you want to read.
No, I don't. It's so difficult with him. Well, what's your thoughts? Because you were about to say something before I interrupted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the only other thing was though, I am still a big fan of Manor Solomon, who is out on loan in the Championship at the moment.
He is, yeah.
And the bits we an injury, he looks like a really tidy player in the system.
Yeah.
He is probably the one player that we have out on loan that I'm like, oh, can we get him back? Like, I feel like he would be a lot more used to the squad than unfortunately Timo is at the moment.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the one. That's the player that we've got out on loan at the moment. I'm really kind of looking at going, yeah, I wouldn't mind him coming back.
So, it's interesting. So, yeah, he is playing in the Championship. He's getting regular minutes. He's won over the crowd there at Leeds. He's playing well. I don't know. I think it's a weird one with there. I don't know if there's a break clause in it. I don't think that was published anywhere. There typically is in January. Like when we loan players out, we typically insert it. Like if we loan someone for a season, we insert one in January because we want to keep our options open. So let's say we send an academy player to a club and they're not playing at all. Then we want to be able to in January to go, right now, it ain't working there, we'll find them somewhere else.
Yep.
However, with him, I don't know if, obviously, because he's a first-team player, there would have been more financials involved. There was a loan fee involved. I don't know if that clause exists. If it does, I think that one would be an interesting debate only if they could move Timo on. I think with Timo stuck, I don't think you can because of the foreign players rules and stuff like that. I think if you brought him back, he'd be cup tied for League Cup and FA Cup, so that's no good. He could play in the Premier League, but he wouldn't be able to play in Europe because we wouldn't be able to register him.
If Timo's still gotcha, yeah.
I mean, because I know you can make 3 changes to the Europa League squad after the next 2 games. So for the next round, if you get there, of course. But would you want one of them to be that, especially when the big question mark on Manor and the reason why there was a loan deal done in the first place is there's a feeling that injury was so bad he might not actually ever be able to get back to his best. Now, he is playing well, he's playing consistently, but with a player with that injury and that issue, would you want to bring him back to a club currently where basically the first team training yesterday was conducted and both of them had a jolly good time because that's all that's fit? You know, it's just like, would you want to bring him back into the environment at the moment of like, well, yes, we need you to sprint 4,000 times a game, Manor, because we're all knackered. There's so many factors to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you play Football Manager, you play FIFA or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, he's fine, bring him in, bring him out, do whatever. But the actual human factors that would have to go into a consideration around that must be huge. You know, just kind of like...
Yeah, I agree. It could be you bring him back off loan, he plays 2 games and has a breakdown with an injury.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, oh, right.
Because that kills the chance to sell him as well. I know that sounds really, really kind of... given how we signed him, the fact that we might well command a fee for him next summer is not nice. Like there's something to that I don't feel comfortable with. But if he comes back and breaks down, like you just said, or has a really bad reoccurrence on loan, no one's signing him. No one is. No one's going to pay money for him based on that.
And at the moment, he's at a club that is challenging the top of the Championship. If they were to get themselves promoted,
playing consistently,
winning second or the playoffs, you could have a Joe Roden kind of thing where they're like, okay, we'll sign him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Or if he's up there and thereabouts, a team that goes up will want him. You know, he has that. He has the ability. I mean, he's a small guy, but that centre of gravity in beating people he's great. I mean, he's picking up assists regularly, so he's having a good season. So I think from a personal and a club point of view, it's like, is there the space in the squad? Because obviously he's non-homegrown. Probably not. If you bring him back and he breaks down, like you said, not only do you then shatter the poor kid, but also no one's signing him. Whereas if he plays the full season in the Championship, comes through it, minor knocks, that's fine, but comes through it without a major recurrence, then you kind of look at that then and think, yeah, okay, that's someone to sign him, definitely.
Yeah, or is he going to be back in the first team squad because he got through a whole season in the Championship?
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
We get better choices. No, that's true.
So I think that one stays where it is. The younger players, I mean, the one that was interesting is Phillips, because Phillips had an incredible loan last season at Plymouth. Was man of the match on a regular basis. He was praised highly, team of the year contender. Had a really great loan, really good season. I've not seen as much with him at Stoke.
And they've just got a new manager in, so that's always an interesting one.
Yeah, I've not like, there's been none of the kind of consistent rave reviews, and sometimes that just happens, like a loan you don't quite fit. Now, I saw a little bit from a few people basically saying they think perhaps he might get recalled, but more as a kind of go back out somewhere again rather than being in the first team.
Right.
But again, there's also a few people thinking that Ange just doesn't rate him. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. We haven't seen enough of him at the club really for us to make enough of a choice.
No, it's a weird one, but
I know he came in with a high potential and a lot of praise when we signed him.
Yeah, he's someone that there's a high ceiling there. Like there is a central defender there that is very, very gifted. And I watched a lot of the under-21 team where he played alongside Alfie Dorrington.
Yes.
They looked amazing together. Like, he came in, and those two looked like they'd been a centre-back pair in their whole lives. Like, they looked brilliant. Complemented each other. Very, very dynamic, and were clearly above under-21 football, if you know what I mean. They looked like men against boys at times.
Yeah.
He got the loan. Dorrington had picked up a horrible injury. Otherwise, he would have gone out, probably. But yeah, so he had a very good loan. Dorrington rehabbed. And now we've got this weird situation where he's out on loan again, not quite hitting like he did last year. And Dorrington, it would appear that they seem hesitant a little bit because of the injury to really throw him in. So we do have two very good central defenders in those players that the coach just doesn't seem to want to use. I'm not entirely sure why. But yeah, otherwise, Jamie Donnelly, Leyton Orient's having a really good loan. So there's a thing, there's Josh Keeley and Donnelly are both at Leyton Orient. They're both playing consistently, both having a really good loan. And there's a lot of talk about the club recalling them to loan to clubs higher up the football pyramid. I really hope they don't. I've seen us do that so many times. And
we did it, was it last season we did it with Alfie Devine?
Yeah.
He was having a cracking first half of the season.
Yeah.
So we recalled him, sent him up to a higher team, and he hardly played second half of the season.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a football expert, I'm not a coach, so this is just my opinion. But my opinion is a loan is about playing games. It's about first team football. It's about realising the effort and everything that has to go into it. And I base that on interviews I've seen with players, ex-players, books I've read, and like I've seen with players. So we had a crop of youngsters that Pochettino kind of threw in with Mason, Townsend, Carroll, obviously Harry Kane, Nabil Bentaleb, Harry Winks.
Yeah.
And other than Bentaleb and Winks, the other people that I've mentioned all were out on loan all the time. Basically, Tottenham's policy was, okay, you've reached this age now, off you go. You go off, you play first team football. You're going to get the shit kicked out of you by some clogger, but you're going to learn. And Andros Townsend talks about it, and he talked about it brilliantly, where he said he didn't know how to cook. He had nothing. He basically had no idea how to live by himself, and all of a sudden Tottenham sent him off to Swindon, or I can't remember, somewhere, it might have been Swindon. He just went somewhere anyway. He was on his own, like didn't know what to do. Like, what do I eat? Where do I go? He said, and I'm there. He said, I'm lacing up my boots with people who literally are playing to pay their mortgage. Like, these aren't, big money players in the Premier League, all the glitz, all the glamour. These guys are, this is their life. They get relegated. That's their lives. This is a big deal. And he's, like you said, the perspective it gave him was massive. That's what loans are about for me. When you come through an academy at a big club like Tottenham, it could be easy just to, this is life, isn't it? This is good. And
I'm set up to training. Someone cooks me breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
Then I go over to my parents who do my washing. Yeah,
exactly. You're a young academy kid coming through there. You're kind of riding this wave. Now, I think getting that dose of reality is important. I think playing every week's important. You look at, like you mentioned, Alfie Devine. Alfie Devine's currently playing in Belgium. He's at Westerlo.
With another player who I can't pronounce his name, who is scoring like wonder goals as a centre-back.
A central defender, yeah. A few people have said, why don't we recall him? He can't join us till he's 18. That's why the whole series of loans have happened. We signed him when he was 16. Vuskovic, I don't know. I'm not even going to try. I'm going to wait till he arrives and they do that video, like, hello, welcome. And I'm like, great, that's how you say it.
That's where it is, yep.
I only found out the other day that I'm saying Bergval wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, is it Bergval? Like, I'm still saying it wrong now, so I listened to a commentator and I was like, listen to that idiot saying it wrong. And then realised that, no, he was right and I'm the one who's getting it wrong. I still can't do it, so I don't know why I brought it up. So we're going to move across now to this email we've had in, which is from Barry Fowles again, who made a comment because he sent it in to get my opinion on something. Message into the page. He basically said, I'm still Anjin, but I've been having a debate with a couple of friends who, like Fulham with Marco Silva, Bournemouth with Andoni Iraola, I don't know how to say his name, and they're basically saying they have better managers who both play attacking football without the suicidal high line. They kind of make good cases to say that, and there's an argument for Ange out. I've defended it with obviously the squad depth, but I'm kind of losing the battle. What's your thoughts? It's interesting because me and you, Dan, we've kind of gone round and round on this a little bit ourselves, where we've been talking about, okay, right, we sack him, then what, and there is this debate around there are managers playing attacking football and they don't have this suicidal high line and everything, and the suicidal high line, I find that funny a little bit. And the reason why I find it funny is because I talk about narratives that have been created. There are two other teams in the Premier League who play a high line like we do consistently and always. Man City and Liverpool. Liverpool, they adjust it a little bit, but they are still playing quite a sort of a high line to try and press up the pitch. Man City, obviously, we all know they're having a mad season. And that high line at Man City suddenly looks suicidal. It looks crazy. What are they doing? But that's worked for the last, 9 years in a row. So is it?
It's crazy. When it's working, it's revolutionary. It's footballing genius. It's incredible. It's revelation. When it's not working, then it's suicidal high line.
Yeah, and then everyone's worked you out. You're
all of a sudden it's Ange Postecoglou, and
that's you. That's you.
Defending.
That's that. Yeah. Now, what is interesting is, and I'm just going to throw this out there because stats in isolation do not tell the whole story 100%. But there was a stat yesterday which cracked me up because when I heard it, I checked it because I didn't believe it, for one, straight away. And then the second part of it was I then had the fun game of revealing this stat to you and Dan and kind of like, right, come on, let's have a guess on this because, and I'm going to say it, so don't jump in and say who it is straight away, Steph. I'm going to say it to people to think about. Which team, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not one you'd think, which team in the Premier League has conceded the least goals on their travels this season? So they've only conceded 9 goals away from home in the Premier League this season. Which team is that? Now, I think you said Ipswich, because you were like thinking it's going to be someone.
It's going to be someone crazy. Like the Ipswich game seemed to be very low-scoring game, so I was like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, now I picked Nottingham Forest because I thought, look at where they are in the league. Clearly, it's been built off the back of a defence because that's all that bloke knows how to coach. So I'm like, it's got to be them, and it'd be a surprise because I know they're doing well, but damn, that's really good. No. The biggest surprise is with their suicidal high line, cannot defend set pieces. The team with the best defensive record on the road this season is Tottenham Hotspur Football Club FC.
Yep.
Athletic, and I'm going to go to full name them. Now,
it makes you worry about at home form looking at the table, but it's like, yeah, that's a crazy stat.
Okay, so another stat then, speaking of home form, we are the first club in Premier League history to concede the first goal at home in 15 consecutive matches. There you go.
That one hurts.
Yeah.
Why do we keep picking up these sort of...
We are trendsetters. So let's park that one over there for a minute. If it is a suicidal high line, if we cannot defend set pieces, if we concede from every corner, if we are truly that bad at defending, we would not have that statistic. It is... When you are going away from home, teams are obviously going to throw themselves at you a little bit more. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in the sense of why is it that happens there? Why is it not happening at our ground? All these different things. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It makes no sense at all. Like, yeah, if you're at home, you're expecting teams to kind of sit in and don't let you play your style of football, but we've just set the record for 15 goal games in a row conceding first. And in an away game, you're expecting the opposition to be all out because the home fans are behind you.
Yeah.
Yet we've got the least goals. What is this club is so broken?
I can expand on this stat a little bit, and it kind of... You were talking about teams sitting in and Tottenham dominating the ball, so how in the hell is that happening? Of the 15 times that we have conceded first at home, how many of the 15... were on the counter-attack, as classed by Opta. So Opta class a counter-attack is us turning over the ball in their third, leading to a goal. Or them getting the ball and leading to a goal. So us having possession, them turning it over in their half and it leading to a goal. So of the 15 times, how many have been on a counter-attack according to Opta?
I have no idea. This club is so broken, it's probably going to be about 3.
14.
Oh, 14. Oh, bloody hell. I don't know if that's better or worse.
Exactly. I don't know if it's better or worse or not. It's basically only one team.
Is that a case of all of our players are so out of position attacking that we're just letting them run straight through the middle of the pitch?
No, this is an interesting debate you've opened, because this is a criticism people are throwing at Ange. They're saying that this whole philosophy you have doesn't work in the Premier League, because the Premier League is full of very, very good players, very, very well-drilled tactical sides who are going to hit you on the counter-attack. This is evidence that this system does not bloody work, because everyone's hitting us on the damn counter-attack and scoring. However, again, the counter, and what is interesting is, of those 15 games we have conceded first, and of all these matches and stuff like that, we have one of the highest turnaround percentages of gaining points from a losing position in the league. I think only Arsenal have won more from being behind than we have.
Oh, we're so broken.
Yeah. Jesus. Now, here's...
Are you not entertained, as he said?
Well, yeah. Okay, so now here's a question for you, right? And this is a genuine question. This is one I want people to really think about. Under Conte and under Jose and under the other guy, we would go matches, entire 90 minutes of football, without shots. We would not have a shot.
Was it 3 matches or so?
Yeah, under Conte, it was 3.5. We made it to a second half of the 4th game, and that shot was off target, and it was only that shot. So we went 4 games without a shot on target, but 3.5 without even a shot at all. Right? So just think about that for a moment.
You had Harry Kane and Son.
Yeah. And you had in their peak at their peak, they were wasted, right? So let's just go through that. So Jose, under Conte and everything like that, we had games and games and games where we didn't even have a shot. Jose literally had the best Kane and Son combination anyone's ever seen. They were lethal. They set a Premier League record for the most assists to each other and goals combined under Jose, right? Now, you take that, all the football that was played under that time, we still lost games stupidly. I remember with Jose Mourinho, we were 3-0 up against West Ham in the 82nd minute, and the game finished 3-3, and we should have lost 4-3. Like they
we never recovered. Like that game screwed us for weeks.
Right? Now, so that happened anyway. In Jose being one of the great defensive managers, it just happened. That was mental. We also then, under him, lost to a team of part-timers with their manager in jail.
Yep.
In the Europa Conference League.
Europa Conference, yeah. Which we should have won. We should have won the first Europa Conference.
Oh, massively. We were by far just moronic. But there is so many results. Under Conte, how many results can you all think of where we were just awful? Like, awful, and lost the game. Like, there was a game we were 2-0 up against Southampton, lost 3-2, when he absolutely lost his frigging mind so he could get sacked.
I think that was probably the most entertaining part of Conte's entire kind of time at our club.
Yeah, it's him losing his damn mind. But my point in all of this is we have endured's the right word. We have endured a brand of football for about 4 years especially, where the whole idea was being solid. Don't concede, don't do this, don't do that. And yet we still conceded on a regular basis. The big difference was we never even threatened to score in some of those games. Like, if we went 1-0 down, I was done. It was like, well, that's the game over then. Unless Harry does something amazing on his own, that's it.
I remember under Jose and under Conte, and then under Conte's assistants, which was still the weirdest decision after a sacking ever, there were games that I genuinely didn't even look at. Like, I would go on the BBC Sport app and look at the results at like 6:30 at night because I was just like, I just don't watch it.
No, and that's awful, but it's true. It is how you feel. Now, I'm going to give you another option, okay? In this other option, I'm going to tell you 100% you're going to concede goals, okay? You'll probably concede on average a goal a game, but you will on average have between 5 and 10 shots a game. And therefore, you have the opportunity to win every game. 3-0, 4-0, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, 7-3, 9-8. You will have the opportunity to win those games. So you have that choice now, okay? Both sets of managers that can offer those things have won trophies doing what they're doing. Which are you going to choose? Genuinely, and this isn't me just trying to big up Ange. This is just, if you broke it down like that, which are you going to choose?
Oh, it's the goals every day.
Yeah.
We know that. Yeah. Every fan, I hope every fan listening will choose the opposite of a 4-2 win over 3.5 games without a shot.
Yeah. And this is my point. If, for example, under Conte, under Jose, we had won the majority of our games, we'd succeeded, we'd won trophies playing that way, I'd still call it out as dull as shit, but you would have to go, but it is successful. It does work. It has worked at our football club. There's no way about it. It didn't.
Yeah.
Like, we tried it. We tried that boring-ass brand of shite, and it didn't work for us at all.
The guaranteed success, and neither of them qualified for the Champions League.
Conte did.
No, you're right.
Decky and Rodrigo Bentancur basically got us over the line.
Those two kind of...
But it is, when you do a comparison, like I said, it's just a kind of, which would you prefer? Games where you are going to see us attack, but yeah, you're going to concede. Like, at the moment, the issue we have is we're not taking the chances as well as we could and should have. And that's one other factor I think a lot of people forget. Every other
Son,
manager...
I love Son to bits, but Son is possibly having one of the worst seasons he's had in Spurs shirt.
Well, he's out of form. He's out of form.
Conversion rate is nothing like what you kind of the chances that we're creating and the amount that we're actually finishing.
Yeah.
You look at it, and then he'll take Son off, and again, sorry to kind of not digging him out, but you bring Son off, and you bring on Timo Werner.
Yeah.
And at this moment in time, there is no defender in the Premiership that goes, "Oh no, not him! Don't bring him on against me," because they're not, you know.
No, it's right now. Those two are having they're having like a battle for who can be in the worst form, low confidence. But
you've got Brennan Johnson, who's our top goal scorer, who still half the fans want to sell.
Yeah.
It's like Richarlison. Solanke, I'm enjoying watching Solanke's work rate, but again, his actual shot comparison to scoring goals isn't high as I'd hope it'd be.
Actually, that's not true. He's just not. No, his shot conversion is actually pretty good, but he isn't actually getting on the chances. So his work rate is phenomenal, but the problem we're not creating. So when we create the chance for Solanke, he's putting them away or hitting the target, which is what you need. Like if keepers are making incredible saves, they're making incredible saves, but you want him to hit the target. That's the goal. Well, pardon the pun. Yeah.
I like that one.
But yeah, so he's actually quite good, but he isn't the one that's typically. So this is clever, by the way. This is obviously something they've done. He is the main goal threat. So what he's doing is he's running one way, and you'll see Johnson or Decky or someone, whoever it is, coming in on the back post, running into the space. But we're not quite getting the ball into that. So Johnson scoring, like, you know, what is he on, 10 league goals this season? Which is phenomenal.
Something like that, yeah.
And I swear the vast majority of that, if you go back and watch him, you'll see Solanke's run created the space. So he is tirelessly for the team. Most of Johnson's
goals have come from like the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
Which is what you want.
Yeah, he is tirelessly working for the team. And when he gets chances, I mean, who was it he scored the goals against Villa? I mean, they were phenomenal finishes.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, wow, like that's next level. But we are not, like, teams are nervous of him because he can do that. But he's using it sensibly. He's like, all right, if you're going to put two on me, I'm going to run this way, and go on, Brennan, get in there, kid. And he's working a treat, but that is why I'm impressed by him, because when we signed him, I really was on the fence. I really was that's a lot of money. Again, like we spent that on Richie and it's not worked. If we've now spent that on Dom and it doesn't work as well, that's 120 million on two strikers.
My worry with Dom when we signed him was we're signing a lot of money for someone who's going to run at defenders.
Yeah, but no, he's. I feel.
I want someone who's going to replace Harry Kane's goal.
Yeah, I mean, and that is the one thing. So perfectly timed to bring us back cylindrical on this. Every other manager I mentioned in this comparison had Harry Kane. Harry Kane arguably is the best number 9 striker in world football. And I think when you look at the form that Haaland's in currently and stuff like that, and then you remember the consistency that Kane gave the Premier League for years and years and years, other than August, he's standout. You know.
And that was consistent, to be fair.
That was consistent, you're right. He under Ange would have broken Shearer's record by now. I hang my hat on that. I genuinely believe it. I think Harry Kane in this setup would have been 40-odd goals last season and already be on 30 this season.
Yeah.
And think of the points difference that would have made.
Oh, man, I mean, even just the pre-season games that we saw Harry play before he left.
Yeah.
He scored a hat-trick against Shakhtar, didn't he?
Yeah.
And last game, and it was like, this kid, this is going to be crazy. I was sold.
Yeah. Well, what is interesting as well on that, and again, this is something that there's at some point all of this will come out, I think, and so we will find out how true this is. But there's this rumor that went around on the day of the transfer that Harry had changed his mind, or like had cold feet anyway, and was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this. And the rumor, or like the scuttlebutt is, or whatever, that basically he was then pushed over the line by Levy, like, no, you gotta go. Like, if you're not signing a new deal, you gotta go. Like, go. What's interesting to me is, again, if you put it to fans, like, I'll put it to you now, right? You're chairman of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, right? Okay?
Yep.
Harry Kane is in his final year of his contract, and he has said, which he did, I will not sign a new contract because you've broken too many promises to me. You told me, like, this, I signed this massive deal here, 6 years, Pochettino's here for life, we're going to build this club and win things. You then sacked him. You brought in Jose. You did this, you did that. I'm not signing, but if this season goes well, like, I'm getting on well with the manager, I like his idea of how to play football, then yeah, I might consider it. I might consider it, but I'm not, there's nothing right now, I'm not interested. But I could, if things go really well this year, all I've ever wanted to do is win stuff at this football club. If I can see that, actually, yeah, this is going to go somewhere, and look at me scoring all these goals, then yeah, I might change my mind. You've got Bayern Munich there willing to pay, I think all in, it's about 90 million quid for a player in his last year of his contract, which is a big fee for that.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do, man?
It's so difficult. It's head over heart, isn't it, really? Like, my heart would always go, you give him till January, and if by January he's still not going to sign a contract,
yeah,
then you get a fee for him and off he goes in January.
But
okay, sure, you're going to get 20, 30 million, not 90.
No, but in January, he could refuse to go and sign a pre-contract agreement for free.
Yep.
So really, you got to make the decision now. You got to make the call of, okay, I could have him for a season, but then he's going to leave for free. And of course, the thing you got to keep in the back of your mind of what happened with Sol Campbell. Because if you are chairman of this football club and Harry Kane runs his contract down and moves, see, I don't think he'd ever play for Arsenal. But then,
I don't think he would have gone to the Premiership other than, unfortunately, it would have been Chelsea with Poch.
There you go. So that's...
But then looking at how quickly they turn over managers, would he have gone to Chelsea knowing full well that Poch might have only got a year or two?
Keep in mind he's building a house near Chelsea's training ground. Now, don't get me wrong, there's not a lot of real estate in London, so, where it's near to doesn't really... But, if again, these have got to factor into your mind, right? Like, would Tottenham fans hate Sol Campbell with a passion and are still pretty pissed that he was allowed to do that with his contract. Do you run that risk of him walking into a Chelsea team the following season and basically being the difference maker and then winning the league? Also factor in the whole Jimmy Greaves thing as well, like he played for Chelsea. Like there were so many aspects of that Harry could have got away with it. You know what I mean? Like, people wouldn't have necessarily hated him. They'd have been a bit, oh, you bastard. Well, Greaves, he did it, don't get mad.
Oh, yeah. No, see, I still would have kept him. I think, in all honesty, I still would have kept him. Because I think that last season, we could have had with him. Yeah. Would have been worth it.
Like those opening 10 games where we were like dominating the ball and stuff like that, you got to believe it would have just been goal fest.
He would have been, like everyone said about the Haaland in his first 10 games scoring like 12 goals. Kane would have been up there with that.
Oh, massively. Yeah, he would have been. It would have been ridiculous. Now you can't. There's no crystal ball. He could have got injured in the first game, and there's so many factors to it that is a problem. Because again, you'd have to think about that, wouldn't you, as the chairman? What if the very first game of the season he breaks his leg? I've taken this massive gamble. He breaks his leg. He's out for the whole season, and then he goes, "Oh, Real Madrid have offered me 500 grand a week, so laters." I completely understand why we sold him. I completely get it, but that is a business decision. I completely understand that as a business decision. I want my football club run on footballing decisions. And, there's a lot of great business done on this football club around the business enterprises and the financial aspect of it. When it comes to football, I want decisions made on a football decision. And the best footballing decision was, okay, you're staying. We will make sure we do enough to impress you that you want to sign a new deal. But who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So
I would have put a football decision.
On that sobering note, we do play Newcastle next. What's your score prediction before we go?
Oh, we're going back to this. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
2-2.
Ooh, optimism. I like it. I feel a 4-2 defeat coming on.
Oof.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Nice and positive, I know.
You brought the whole 4-2-42 thing back full loop. I like it.
There you go. Thank you. A big thank you to everybody for listening. As always, thank you to everyone who got in touch to interact with us. We will be back very, very soon. Until then, you all take care.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.